to Spiritual Debriefing. We are so glad you joined us. Today we have an exciting episode, a good episode, a fun episode. We have an episode for you. This is Daniel Meadows, and to my right, I'll change it up. To my right is a guest, first-time guest.
It is.
First-time guest.
Yep, first time here. Long-time listener, first time.
There you go. Introduce yourself.
My name is Carrie Van Treese.
Hello,
Welcome, Carrie.
Welcome, Carrie.
Hello, Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually had Carrie. We had your wife on the third, fourth podcast, something
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
She was
Talk
bragging
about-
about it.
Talk about homeschooling.
Yeah.
I was on before you were.
Exactly.
Got on here first.
There you go.
And to my right
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
All right. Yep. I'm over here, Ray, pushing buttons. Hopefully everything sounds good tonight. And yeah, as usual, across from me, I have
Oh, Derek.
What up?
Eric.
Hi, gentlemen. And then to my right,
I'm Randy,
yeah, Randy.
and if you would like, subscribe, and
Share.
share. Yeah, and it's been a while since I've done this. Too.
Comment.
Yeah, give us some comments.
Prayer
Take a nap.
request.
Take a nap if you want to. Yeah. If we can pray for you in any kind of way, let us know about that too.
Yeah, that'd be great too.
What was that, Randy? I can barely hear you.
I know.
I know you can hear me.
Oh, see, there it is. That a kid.
Yep. Remember, pretend that microphone's an ice cream cone. Keep it nice close.
I can start licking it.
I want some ice cream.
That does sound good.
Oh, man.
Now we're
Well,
all
how's everybody's week?
It's good.
It was good until then.
No, until you thought it was an ice cream or what?
He realized he didn't have ice cream.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You woke me up.
Yeah, he was over here. Hey, do you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yep, my week has been awesome.
Yeah.
First week in a long time we experienced with the kids all gone.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Shipped them all out.
Yep. And then so my boss was off this week, and then I took this week off.
That sounds nice.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's been good.
Excellent.
What you been doing?
Oh, you know.
Fishing.
At the lake.
Fishing.
Fishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, like the first day. So, like Monday, I'm like, I'm going to get stuff done around the house that I've neglected. All right. So I got the old pole saw out, trimming branches and, doing landscaping. And then my father-in-law shows up. So, hey, can you look at my vehicle? AC's not working. Sure. So I looked at that, got that fixed. Then we looked at his boat because it doesn't want to start. And then the next day, what was it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember now. But Tuesday we went to the lake. I think it was Tuesday. What was yesterday? Wednesday. We went to the lake Wednesday with him because he hasn't been on Beaver with his own boat. And
Right.
So we cruised around a little bit, showed him some spots, and then today my wife was off, so she's off today and tomorrow. And so today I'm like, what do you want to do? And she wanted to go to the lake.
Here you go.
She goes, I want to know how it is fishing with just me and you. Because when you have the kids on there, you get 4 people on a bass boat.
There's not a lot of fishing that
Yeah,
happens.
it's not that much. It's okay. It's okay. But there's nothing about like having just 2 people on the boat, one in the front, one in the back, and then you could just fish.
Yep.
Who caught more?
I did, but
I don't even think it has to be kids. I think you just put 4 people
You
on the
put
boat.
4
yeah,
people on the
fishing
boat.
diminishes real quick.
Yeah. And you're using these long poles now. They're not like 5-foot poles. They're
They're
7
6
foot. No, 7'2". My
poles,
poles are 7'2".
What?
7
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I got a short little ugly stick. I
Must
keep in
be
the back
nice.
of the truck. That's it.
Yeah. There's something to be said about a nice rod and reel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're on an 18-foot boat and your poles are 7 foot
7
long,
foot long.
you're gonna hit stuff and people. But she enjoyed it. Like we took that boat ride, and then we got hot, jumped in the water, fished some more. She's like, "Okay, I'm done." All right.
Y'all go to Beaver or Loman?
No, Loman today, and then Beaver was yesterday.
There you go.
But I got some stuff done around the house.
That's good.
I was like, this is probably what it's going to be like when we retire. I'll be outside doing stuff. She'll be inside.
Yep.
But, it's been good. But I can't wait till Wyatt to come back. He'll be back tomorrow.
Is he having a good time at camp? You don't know? You haven't heard from him?
Nope. That's what my kids do.
Yeah.
So when the kids are at home, they're mom, dad, mom and dad, this and that. They're gone. Crickets.
It's like back in the day before they had before there was cell phones,
Before
right?
phones.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember I'd go off to camp and come back. My parents had no clue if I was alive for a whole week,
Right.
practically.
Right. We see a couple of pictures. We're like, okay, he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they only call if they need something. But no, it's been a good week, boys. It's been good.
I had a very similar week, but also kind of exact opposite. All the kids were home, including our our fifth baby.
Yeah.
4 girls and a boy.
Awesome.
So,
Congratulations.
Congrats.
thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. Finally got him, right?
Right. I was
You got a
Home
basketball team now?
the whole basketball team. 2 of them are not very good. They're too little. But the others they've played. But I'd done all the pole saw trimming and all that kind of stuff. Brush the dogs out. Go back inside, check on wife and kids.
Mm-hmm.
Had the whole week off, but it's been good. I could definitely do it longer.
Oh, I could too.
That'd be nice. I had to cancel my vacation, unfortunately. It's
Yeah.
okay. We'll reschedule it.
Yep.
We'll get there. Vacation will happen someday.
Yeah. I used your camper for you.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I'm glad somebody's using it because we had plans. We'll get there.
Yeah,
It'll
you'll
happen.
get there.
Yeah, it'll happen.
So we're taking vacation at the end of July. 20.
Are you going to the beach
Fifth.
again?
No, we're just going to Hot Springs this year.
Don't you go to the beach every year?
We did for a while. We haven't gone. We didn't go last
Oh,
year.
you didn't go last year? I
We
thought you
didn't
did.
go last year. We're not going this year. Next year we're going though for sure.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law does not want to do 3 years without the beach. So
What are you guys doing in Hot Springs?
we got a house out on the lake,
Oh, nice.
on the waterfront. So
Cool.
we'll kind of play on the lake a little bit.
Yeah, that's a big lake too, isn't it?
Yeah, we're up closer towards Lake Washita though.
Oh.
There's like 3 or 4 lakes right there.
Yeah, because I thought there was like the...
Washita, Catherine.
What's the
and
biggest lake in
Hamilton.
Arkansas? Is that Hamilton? Well, there's like a huge lake in Hot Springs that I want to go see
I'll
one
figure
day.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, we drove through there once, checked out some of the spots, but
Yeah,
I like Hot Springs. It's good.
yeah.
it's a neat town. But man, is it not
Like-
easy to get around?
Lake Washita, where we're headed to.
That's the biggest lake,
Yeah,
right? In
Lake
Arkansas?
Washita, yeah.
Yeah.
40,000 acre of clear, clean water.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the dam lake above Beaver Lake, right?
So,
there's
yeah,
no,
so
it's
it's-
completely different.
That's completely
No, it's
different.
completely
Oh,
different.
okay.
Washita's down in Hot Springs, but the way it flows is it's Washita, and then the Washita River flows out and goes into
gotcha.
Hamilton, and then Catherine.
Gotcha. I was
and
thinking
then
of Eureka
Big Gray
Springs,
or
not
something
Hot
like
that.
Springs.
Yeah, Eureka
I was
Springs.
thinking of the wrong
Yeah,
springs.
no, Lake Catherine on that whole system because there's 4 lakes on that system,
Yep.
and Lake Catherine is like the toilet bowl lake. That's where everything washes down to. But Washita is that beautiful clear.
All right.
There's nothing like clear lakes, man.
Yeah. So
Like the north, like the farther you go north on Beaver, it just clears out.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it gets clear and clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's you didn't find many clear lakes up in Minnesota anymore because they were all just full of weeds and algae and all that stuff.
Oh, is
There's
it?
so much farming going on everywhere up
Mm.
there, so that really fills those algae up real quick with all that runoff. But
Yeah.
yeah, plenty of clear water in Hawaii, no lakes.
Right. Mm-hmm. What about you, Rand Dizzle? You know, were you working this week?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He had to work on Fords, so he's not happy.
Yeah.
is it a day that ends in Y? Of course he's working.
It's work. Well, I got to play with the Chevelle a little bit, so
There you go.
put some paint on it. That's about it.
I thought you'd be more excited. That hood looks nice.
I'll be
Yeah.
excited when it's all back together.
Mm.
Is any chance of making it for the car show or?
No, because I can't get some parts in right now. So
Told you, just zip tie him up there for now.
Yeah.
If we can, I'll at least bring it on a trailer. If I can get it to where it'll stay. But I'm not going to drive it, no.
Yeah. You don't want to do that.
Then parts are too expensive.
Yeah, you don't wanna do that.
And I can't find them.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
They
If
probably, they don't make them no more.
Well, they do, but it takes them forever to get here and find them and get 'em. Yeah, so I can't even find used parts. I'll be happy with used parts if I can find them. But yeah, it's hard to get them here. So yeah, the paint on it, that was pretty exciting.
Oh, it looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it did. Can't wait to see it.
Yep.
me neither.
We got the car show coming up in, is it next weekend or the weekend after? 2 weekends.
27th.
27th.
Yep.
So weekend I'm gone.
Me
So,
too. I'm gone too.
We had already had scheduled, so.
Well,
But Randy knew about that. I told him.
if you're in the neighborhood, though, car show.
Yeah, if you're in the
27th.
neighborhood, stop by.
Yep.
It'll be good.
Yep.
Good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot
Popcorn,
this year. 'Cause
snow
you get popcorn
cones.
and then jump houses or bounce houses, whatever there are.
Well, I
Or
don't
they're
think they're going to have bounce houses. I was told that they
Yeah.
took those out.
They took those
Why?
out of the trailer.
I haven't got the answer for that yet. So
I, don't know. I think it's an insurance thing. I don't know.
Always the Pharisees, isn't it?
But popcorn and snow cones.
We have that here at the church.
I know.
Yeah, right. I know. We can have that any day we want.
I know.
It's all right. We don't be upset about it. It's okay.
Yep.
Can make our own bounce house.
And cool cars.
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
Excellent.
You should
Yep.
build a water slide.
are you bringing your chopper up here, or are you gonna bring your car, or
Uh,
both?
Probably both, somehow or another.
I'll take you back. And you can get one.
We'll just make a couple trips.
Yeah.
He has to win another trophy. Like, didn't you win one last year?
Yeah, and the first year too.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I got two of them.
He's got a pretty nice. He's got a pretty nice bike. So.
Yeah.
I washed my hands of all that. You guys picked it. All right, so I didn't do a thing.
No, first year you picked
No, I didn't. I haven't been.
because it was the three of us the first year.
Was it?
Yeah, it was me, you, and Derek.
Oh,
That's why you picked Kerry.
That's why. Yeah, that's why you picked Carrie.
was it? I don't remember being a judge. I think you guys are.
No, it was us three.
Yeah.
Was
In
it?
the first year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think all three of you picked Carrie though. But
Yeah, maybe.
All right,
I don't
maybe I was wrong, but
But yeah,
anyways, I'm not a judge anymore. I don't want to be biased.
I'm not a judge this year either.
Nope, me neither.
Whatever, guys. Thanks a lot.
You're
Let me
welcome.
high and dry.
was I a judge? I'm just kidding.
I thought you were last year.
Last
I
year
was last
it
year.
me,
No, I
you,
meant this year.
Oh.
I meant this year.
Me,
think-
you.
I think you
and-
asked me too, but I don't
who it
remember.
was.
Did you ask somebody else?
I think, isn't it you, Mark, and Marcia?
It might be.
Yeah.
Might be.
Maybe.
It's been a while. It's been a
Yeah.
while. At
I
least
got
it
the
seems
list
like
at
it's
the
been a
house.
while.
Yeah. I got the list at the house, I think.
It's good. I just cheat. I ask Harmony. It's like, which one do you like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That works.
So there
Yep.
you
Yep.
I'm sure y'all can figure out 2 trophies.
We sort it. We
Yeah.
sort it.
So, yeah, it'll be a good time.
Yeah.
There's food involved, too. So,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
go. And it's free.
yeah.
Free 99.
everything's free.
Yep. We'll have some music.
Free
Yep.
food. Free.
Parking.
Free.
Free parking.
There's your parking man right
Bathrooms are
I'm
$5.
charging-
So.
no.
Oh, bathrooms are $5.
No, bathrooms are free.
Water
Bathrooms
bottles
free.
are $20.
Yeah.
Hearing the gospel. Free.
We'll charge you and give you a refund.
I just, like, slightly off topic, but we were just checking in on the coffee farm that I used to work at in Hawaii. They're now charging $15 a person per tour. It was free.
Wow.
It was a
Oh, it's
free
free.
tour when I was there. Now they're charging $15 a person. I was like, man. and
Just the tour of coffee farm.
it looked well. I mean, you get free samples, you get some free candy, you get a bunch of stuff, and they may now have been started including. We had add-ons like you could pay. I think it was like $30 a person to do what they call paniolo roasting, where you'd actually roast your coffee over an open fire on a cast iron skillet. Roast your own coffee, bag it up, take it home with you, right? So, or maybe it was $40, and you got to get a little quarter pound of coffee. You got to keep 2, right? Or we had like a tasting tour you could do, where our certified barista would sit you down and brew coffee multiple different ways and show you how the same coffee could taste different in a pour over, or a French press, or an espresso, or those different type of things. So those used to be add-ons that you'd pay for. And when I saw that, it was just watching a video. I didn't see any prices next to those. I saw those listed, but I thought maybe you pay $15 and you get to pick one, or maybe those are still extra. Who knows? But still, and it's if they're still doing the same tour that I set up, it's about a 45-minute tour. It's not a quick little thing. It's like a full-on tour, take you through all the steps, all the stuff. Mine got really, really long because the more I learned, I kept wanting to share more stuff, and so my tours would sometimes go close to an hour, but nobody seemed to care. So it's a pretty good experience. It's just funny. It's $15.
Well, they had to replace you with 5 people,
That's
so you got to pay for them now.
It was 3, but still.
Oh,
yeah,
3.
Yeah. Yep. But even in the video, I was like, oh, I know that dude's still there. All right. I don't know who any of those other people are, though. That's how it is.
It is.
Rookies.
Right. I hope they had it wrong in the video, too, because it was 40 acres of coffee when I was there. The video said 6.5 acres of coffee. I was like, what?
Ooh.
I was like, dang.
No wonder they're charging.
Downsize.
I was like, woo, all right. Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. So, anyway.
Did you leave my comment?
No. No, it was actually Wendy found the video. I was just watching it on her phone. So she was like, do those trees look healthy still? I'm like, yeah, they look all right. They look like they're doing okay.
Well, Randy, kick us off with our topic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Randy's like, wait.
That was his topic.
You picked it. I
It's
just put
the
them out
Randy
there.
and Ray show. Y'all just kick us off.
Okay. Well, let me see if I can find it here.
Why? It was
Okay.
Christian leadership, right? That's what our topic
Christian leadership in the workforce.
There we go.
Or workplace and community.
was. Yes.
That's what we
Good. That's what I looked up stuff on. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you think,
you
Randy?
go.
Go ahead, Randy.
Well, there you go. Go
There
ahead.
you go. So, how do y'all do it?
Yes.
Well, first off, again, this is funny. I was looking up I couldn't find a ton of verses that really actually address this specific thing, right? Of course, you go out into the world and those type of things. But one that came up, I thought this was funny. James 3:1. Let not many of you become teachers, my brethren, knowing that such will incur a stricter judgment. So, just a reminder while you're out there, share the gospel. Don't get too deep into it. Because it says not many of you to become teachers. So I got to remind myself of that sometimes. In the Bible study we did this morning, we got into one part where we were following some trails, right? We were actually going through, I can't remember what part of, it was either in John, we skipped around a little bit, but where Jesus was literally claiming, that they say Jesus doesn't claim himself to be God, but it's one of the times he clearly does say that I'm God, and the Jews go to stone him. Right, they're about to stone him, and then he says, "Do you not know your own law says that you are gods?" And then that shuts him up for long enough for him to then escape. And I was like, okay, he's quoting the Old Testament here, so let's find it. So I backtracked to Psalm 82, and Psalm 82 is one of the psalms that really kind of cracked a bunch of things open for me when I first got saved and was studying, and was explaining this to my friend who I was doing Bible study with, how that's one that I wouldn't take people to early on, or even focus much on early on, because it's one that could distract from the message. I'm not saying that it's bad, it's evil, there's nothing wrong there, but if you don't know what Psalm 82 is, Psalm 82, God has taken his place in the divine council. In the midst of the gods, he holds judgment. Right? So right there, you're opening up some worms that some people don't want to talk about. How long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Selah. He's talking to the Jews, right? God is talking to the Jews and saying, how long are you going to be misjudging and doing the wrong thing, right? Give justice to the weak and the fatherless. Maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute, right? Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. So he's saying they're not doing that. They have neither knowledge nor understanding. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you. That's what he's talking to the Jews. You are gods. He's telling them right there, you will be sons of the Most High, right? God is adopting us into his family, right? Again, there's the adoption, there's the marriage. I was actually telling my buddy, I was like, if you think about it, he made us in his image. He tells us that we're actually adopted into his family. We're his sons, and he's also going to marry us to his only son too. So we're married into the family. And that marriage is sacrosanct to God. It's never supposed to be broken. Family is sacrosanct to God. It's never supposed to be broken. And we're also made in his image too, if you want to try to just throw a Trinity in there for fun. I was like, those are pretty cool. But again, rabbit hole. I was like, that's meat. You maybe don't take early Christians there and say,
Right.
let me take you on this fun journey
Yeah.
to some crazy stuff. So again, not just, man, I love the Bible. I love following these little rabbit trails like this and where they take you and where, because again, this is a psalm. I've said it before on this podcast. When Jesus, and a lot of them are quoting the Old Testament, it's like when we say, hasta la vista, baby.
Right.
It doesn't just mean what you said.
Uh-huh.
It means a whole bunch more. And he literally quoted a line from a song to them. And so, it brought back the whole thing. It got them to think just enough to be like, well, actually, we were about to stone him because he said, I am the Son of God. And he's like, wait, how are you going to stone me? Because your own law says you are all the sons of God. That's what your own rules say. That's what your own Bible says.
Right.
So, anyway, just a reminder that I wouldn't banter that about at work, like to start off with. Have you heard of Jesus? Did you know?
Right.
But that's heavy meat. Again, that's the heavy meat stuff. I even told, I made the analogy. I'm like, that's not just meat. That's like the tomahawk steak. That's like you're upgrading to some heavy stuff. But anyway,
So the question was to brought to my mind was to split this up to basically, how can you be a leader at work, of course, and then how can you be a leader in the community? So to break that up, I wanted to go a little bit deeper and ask you guys and say, think back when you first started your job. I'll just use Derek as an example because he talks more about his jobs more than anybody.
Well, that's because I have like 700 of them in like a year.
Well, let's just say, okay, back when you were younger, okay,
I wasn't
any
going
of
there.
us, okay, just for any of us,
I don't care.
back in your younger days versus now, how do you perceive your jobs? Thinking about, again, being younger until now, how do you feel about, the question about leading in a Christian manner in those jobs as far as your growth period? So, of course, you're going to be growing hopefully by now.
Yeah.
But you start that job, do you start as a leader at that point, or
Like, what do you mean? Like when you first start a job?
yeah?
Do you start as a leader?
Well, that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying, as far as when you're as I'm just thinking, think back as when you're young,
Yeah.
and think as about now. Compare the two. So ask the question to yourself now. Where are you at now as far as where are you at in your Christian leadership? When you walked in your job, you probably wasn't thinking about being a Christian leadership at 18, 19, 20, being a cop or whatever,
No.
or wherever you guys were at in your first jobs. But
I was mouthy.
but you were setting the foundation of some point in a Christianity or a Christian foundation, hopefully at some point, or somewhere along the lines of having a conscience, maybe being somebody's mentor or somebody asking for help, or along those lines till today, trying to be helpful to somebody is in the job. Think about those two situations. Where's the growth at now? I mean, is that question clear?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
What Ray said first with James, so that not many of us should be leaders and teachers of the word. But so whenever how that applies to whenever I first started at the dealership, I was one of the child. I mean, I was young. I didn't know how to fix cars very good, and there was a couple other guys that was definitely a good mentor, and they teach me whenever I was having trouble, and just like a kid frailing around, I don't know what I'm doing. I learned a little bit from them and gave me that confidence, and not that they, had everything down, but they had enough knowledge to be confident with their next step. And so now I've been in it for 12 years now, if I see somebody in that same situation, I don't look at myself as a leader or mentor, but I definitely go over there and help them out so that they're not frailing around and drowning and struggling, and that stress is overwhelming them. And just as a friend helping them out kind of situation. And that's where that's the difference between where I was first beginning. Obviously, you don't know, and now you can actually help somebody out.
Yeah.
So it's a big, in the going through it, you don't really pay attention to it so much, but afterwards you're like, hey, that's what happened. I was struggling. This guy helped me, and now I'm helping other people to do this, to do better the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bring the mic just a little bit closer to you. You literally almost want to, we're not kidding. It's like an ice cream cone. You want to be able to lick it if you need to.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got to get used to it.
Yep, it's all good. It just makes it so I have to do less fiddling around later.
Perfect.
Well, and I've been in many different levels, right? I didn't even realize it until I was actually just thinking about this topic that I've been in a lot of leadership and management roles for quite some time, and it hadn't even dawned on me how long that's been going on. I just seem to gravitate to them quickly because I constantly help everybody. I'm always like, okay, wait, I can help you do that. I can help make that faster. This could be done differently. That I'm always just constantly looking for efficiency and looking for improvement and looking to also make it easier. I love to help people be able to do their job in an easier way. And so most places I've been, I quickly end up being like, well, you should just take care of that then. You should just, well, why don't you just do this then? And so early on in my managing of people, like I managed a pizza place in my early 20s, right? I had, 8 employees underneath me, schedules, all the night, hiring, firing, all that stuff. And I was, I think, 24, something like that, when I was in my first management role. And I was not a Christian at that point. And I bet you all those people loved working with me. I don't think it was, and the whole thing went under not because of how I ran it, but I definitely did not. There was, I'm not saying I could have saved it either, but because the lady who actually owned it, she lost all her money online gambling. That was right when online gambling got huge, and they took away all 4 of her pizza stores from her because of that. But the store was not booming, right? We weren't like, we were doing just fine. We were getting by, but we weren't booming. And I definitely know that's partially because of my management style at the time. There was a lot less. Yes, I helped people. Yes, I knew, was constantly looking for better ways to do things. But at the same time, I was also constantly compromising. I was constantly being like, oh, yeah, no, it's all good. And, buddies want some pizza. Let's cut them a deal. Or,
Right.
I actually even knew the bottom line. So a lot of times I'd be like, oh, just half price. I mean, at least we're not going to lose money. And I definitely let way too much food out the door and all. But it, probably balanced it out too by actually, making, managing, and delivering pizzas at the same time sometimes when somebody couldn't make it. But still, my management style was not, there was no Christian behind it. There was no God behind it. There was no actually reason behind it other than just trying to have a good time, make sure everybody else was having a good time kind of thing. Right. And I was an assistant manager at a Valvoline, then in some just even when I worked for the moving company, right, lifting and moving furniture, immediately I was a team leader and a trainer and doing all the stuff because they just right off the bat they're like, okay, you're doing it right, it's supposed to be done, and you can train other people how to do it really quickly. Wasn't Christian there. It wasn't until I was at the coffee farm that I got saved, and I actually had people at that coffee farm say that they saw a shift in how I managed people because of it. And I'm not, this is not me, this is God. This is God working through me and doing things. And I definitely wasn't spreading much God at that point. I was very new Christian, but it shifted from I definitely kill myself helping too much, but it went from just helping because I wanted something for it. It turned into more of helping because I wanted to actually help that. I actually wanted to help the person, right?
Yep.
There was a different impetus behind it. It's hard to get it into the right words, but I wish I would have taken more of those opportunities to actually bring God into that equation, because I could have. I didn't. They knew I was a Christian. They knew I was hot in the Word, and I definitely talked about it a lot. But you can bring it up almost every time, every minute of every day. You really can. And I do that more often now, though. Now that I'm in my management role, I'm remote. I don't actually see these people face to face, but I'm constantly saying, just a day does not go by, an hour does not go by where I'm talking about God somehow or praising God for something or something. It just is constantly on my lips, and I don't know if they're sick of it yet, but none of them complain about it. None of them say anything bad about it, and one of the crazy, and I'm not going to credit myself for this. I'm just going to credit this all to God. But the industry that I manage, these people I'm managing, I don't have a huge group of people, but typically in the environment, in this remote work contact center environment, turnover is 50%. I have had no one quit. Well, I should take that back. One guy started his own company and to do in real estate, so he left. But no, I've only fired people. No one wants to quit. They love working for us. They love doing what we do. It's not a fun job. It's not an easy job, but they just love the way that we run things. And so, again, I'm going to credit that to God. I'm going to credit that to God showing me a different way to try to manage people, a different way to try to lead people. And actually, this is, and I don't do this enough, but I think Jesus laid it down in Matthew 20, right? It is not this way among you. Whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you shall be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. Right? So, and I'm not, that's what we're supposed to do for each other, but also the lost too. We are supposed to put ourselves in that how can I help? What can I do? How can I make it better for you? How can I make it? Because if we are all doing that, if everyone is doing that, then everyone's lives get so much easier.
Oh, yeah. Instead of being selfish.
Yeah, instead of being selfish. And I'm hoping I'm instilling that into the people that I work with. Is that, and I try to encourage it. I actually have bonuses and incentives for when they actually help each other, which is maybe part of what makes them want to stay, right? Because a lot of times in these environments, it's all commission, right? What did you book? What did you get? Who's your sale? Who's not your sale? I've seen it. I've been in those environments. It creates competition. It creates cutthroat. You stole my customer. You stole my customer. I hate that too. I said, I'm nipping that in the bud right now. Yes,
that's how the insurance world was.
You get commissions for booking, but guess what? I give you also a partial commission for booking something for somebody else. When you help them out, you help somebody else out, you get something too, right? You save someone else's appointment because they're trying to cancel, and you convince them over the phone not to cancel. I'm going to get you something too, right? So I've set up ways to make sure that it's not about this one's mine and this one's yours, and I'm not going to touch that because that's so and so's, and they'll be back from lunch in 30 minutes. It's all about helping the customer. Just help the customer first. We'll sort it out later, you know. And I credit God for that. I credit God for showing me that. And again, I'm not saying I'm the being the perfect servant there, but still, it's something. That's a way you can be a true Christian leader in your job without even having to be a leader, without having to be a teacher, right? Is just being in that role of being there to help, being there to pick up the slack, being there to, you see something, take care of it. Don't just be like, well, that ain't my job.
You stepped on what I was about to get into. No, so I've been reading a lot of John Maxwell lately. I don't know if you know much about John Maxwell.
But I haven't read him.
He writes a lot of leadership books, and he writes them from a Christian standpoint. He's a Christian author. And he says this in the 5 levels of leadership. He says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Usually when we think of leadership, we think of a boss position, right? Management, boss. But that's not it, dude. I've served under bosses who were just bosses. They weren't leaders, right? And so you don't have to have a position of authority to be a leader at all. You can be a leader right where you're at. It's just, how are you influencing other people?
Yep.
Right? Is your life influence? And he also says this. He says, leaders develop daily, not in a day. The opportunity to be a leader shows up in our everyday moments, not just during life's highs and lows, and it reveals itself in the choices we make each day.
Right.
And I was like, man, that's awesome.
Right.
You know, the fact that every day we've got that opportunity to be the leader. Just the fact, Carrie, that you go over to help somebody else, you're being a leader. Whether you want to say you are or not, you are, because you're shaping that culture. You're changing that influence, right? So
That's probably what got me promoted to leadership all over the place. By
Maybe.
just doing that. Just being like, hey, this needs to be done. Get it done. Hey, that needs to be done. Get it done. They're like,
Maybe.
he clearly sees what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe, but
Yeah, just looking over and seeing someone struggling, and
Yeah.
and that I've had instances where mechanics see another mechanic struggling with the car. They know how to diagnose that specific issue, and they know an easier way. They won't tell the other guy.
they just leave it alone.
they'll
And
joke
Yeah.
about it
Yeah.
even. Be
Don't
like, look at
ignore
that idiot over there. He's going to
Uh-huh.
waste 2 hours.
Yeah.
Watch this.
Oh, I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Teaching's the
Just-
same way, man. Same
Yeah.
exact way.
I know exactly how to help you with that kid, but I'm not going to tell you.
That's it.
Yep.
That's
Knowledge
it,
is
dude.
power.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
the problem.
That's the
Yeah.
problem. That is the problem. Well,
And I go to that teacher. I'm like, you're having issues with that kid? Let me have him for a minute.
right.
Let's bond. Let's spend some time.
And it's about being there. And
Yeah.
You've been through that. You know how
Yep.
to handle it, how to talk to them, and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
Yeah, I think it's really important as a Christian in all walks of your life. If you see it and you have that little thing that says, "Oh, somebody there. That's something. That's a thing."
Mm-hmm.
That's the Holy Spirit. That's the Holy Spirit right there giving you the tug. And my hardest one is always like, yeah, but I've only got like 15 minutes and I'm already late for this other thing. And
Mm-hmm.
we, as teachers, at least at the school I was at, we would meet together as a team. So like social studies, math, English, and science, we would all meet together because we had kids on a team, and we would always start out with prayer before we talked about anything else. I always wanted to be like, we're praying first, and then we can go on. And everybody's like, but we only have 45 minutes. I'm like, okay, but we're gonna do this first. And it was just yeah, there were rough times, but it was a smooth year because we bathed ourselves in prayer. And I was lucky to serve on a team with a bunch of Christians, so that it wasn't horrible, but yeah. Now I know when I worked at the jail, it was totally opposite. And in no way was I a Christian leader there. I followed.
Mm-hmm.
I followed.
yeah, and you get a lot of those places where the people you're following, they're not Christians
Yeah.
either.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen that at a lot of places I've worked at too, and there's now I know, like, even to go back to the moving company, I wouldn't be able to work there now because of the environment there and the way that the people interacted with each other and just all of that. I mean, it was just very, very difficult to be able to see that and not say something or not do something, right?
Yeah.
And
When that's your nature, is to see a problem and go fix it. You really don't want to just ignore it and let it go, because you know it'll just keep getting worse.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll tell you, this culture is going to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
new
yeah.
culture that's coming.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, because it's twisted, and I don't know that it sounds like I've heard some people saying that the youngest generation, the ones that are just coming in now, are figuring out how messed up it is, and they're kind of being like, they see it, but then the problem is they're just in their 18s, 19s, 20s right now,
Right.
and it's all those people who are in that 20-something to early 30-something block. There's a whole bunch of them in there that I just don't know.
Right.
I have no idea right now. We don't see them at church. Not many. Very few of them at church. There's like none of them here.
Right.
So where are they, and what are they up to? And they're the ones, and I'm not trying to say all of them, but you look at the people causing the problems out there, and the people who are always out there making messes and making fires and causing issues. It's a lot of that demographic, a lot of that age group.
Yep.
It's going to make us be just like the boomers. We're going to hold on to power as long as we can.
Well,
We're going to be like
yeah.
85 going like, no, we do not want them
And then
taking
you gotta
over.
say all these different pronouns. No, I don't.
No.
I'm sorry. I can't work in that work environment.
We're setting up this new CRM software at work. I got to build out we're transitioning our entire platform. It's going to be a nightmare for months. And I'm just getting into it now. And yeah, I'm literally, the nice thing about it is I'm setting up the whole platform. And so I'm setting up the user stuff, and I actually have full control on what's there and what's not. I can add stuff and take stuff out, and I'm setting it up. And of course, I saw it was like pronouns. I'm like, yeah, we don't need that. That's going away. That's not going to be an option.
Yep.
Not even going to be an option. So, I could do little things too.
Yep. No, I mean, I only say like, I mean, I don't work in corporate America. My wife does, you know, and that's where she's.
Oh, they're in the bios of people all over the place.
Everything.
And
I gotta do all the pronouns. I gotta do this. I have to do that, and then you know she's getting tired of playing the game.
Yep.
You
I
know?
should design an AI tool that just helps you with that. It takes care of it for you.
Right now in the schools, we don't have to anymore, which is good.
Yeah.
We that got changed
Yeah, they knocked that down.
last year or something like that, a couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't call you anything but your given name. If your name's John, you can't be called Sally, which is great.
I mean, we're off topic, but yeah.
Yeah. So
But I mean, I'm just saying, you know, this. I mean, you know, we talk about this leadership, and we talk about what we need to do as Christian men or women. But you know, now you see this new culture that's coming. You know, that's in the workforce, and we're the older crowd or getting into the older crowd. Like every generation deals with this.
Oh, yeah.
Every generation says this next generation, you're going to ruin the whole earth, right? I mean, every generation said that. You know, even back with, you know, I think it was like, you know, the hippies back then, right? I mean, they said that generation, the baby boomers weren't going to go anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But they were some of the hardest working people out there. So, I mean, every generation deals with this. And now we're at the age now, we're getting older, set in our ways and going, I'm going to call you Tom or Bill or John.
This new music is just noise.
Right, exactly. Yeah. This ain't country music. I don't know. This ain't country. But just, you know.
Just turn it off and let's have silence. We're fine.
Right. But I mean, my point is, you know, we still got to stick to our foundation.
Yep.
Right. And the Bible is our foundation. Jesus Christ is our foundation.
Right.
And any leadership or anything that we do anywhere we're at, that's what we need to stick to.
Yep. Yep.
And so, and that's where I'm trying to get to is this new culture. I don't care. I'm going to stick to the truth and worship my God.
Yep. And your actions will then support your words.
Right.
Even if they're few.
Right. And I'm not saying mistreat them. I'm not saying that like,
No,
this
exactly.
or that. I'm just, you know, we're going to treat them with love, just like we treat everybody.
Right.
But we need to stick to the truth.
Yeah. The truth is that there is only one truth, right? There is the
There's only
truth.
one.
There's not a subjective truth. There's not your truth and my truth.
Yep.
Right. Those are called opinions. They've changed opinions and to say, no, this is my truth. No, that's your opinion. There's facts. There's the truth.
Yep.
And there's nothing else.
And like for right now, like my job right now, I'm blessed to have two Christian men. I mean, so it's a father and son, and they're both Christian men, solid. And then we're talking about another job, right? I mean,
right.
It always seems like I always come back to mechanics, right? My mechanic work. Like I would go try something new, then I fall back on mechanics. I go try something new, fall back on mechanics, you know? So now I'm just kind of realizing that maybe I just built a wrench. I don't know. You know, sometimes we get burnt out, right, Carrie? I mean, you get burnt out just fixing stuff all day. But, for example, you know, working on a bulldozer, an AC concern, I worked on that for 2 days straight. Couldn't figure it out. Then the old man comes up, does this, boom, boom, moves that. There you go. It's working. And I'm like, you know what he says? You know what he says? Praise God. That's what he said. No, like, look what I did, you know, gloating or, you know, anything like that. He just says, praise God.
That's awesome.
Right? I mean, it's great. I mean, it is. It's good like that, you know, and so it's a good environment, you know, but, you know, that's where I've never been into like a big leadership role. And this is a little harder to be like a leader, you know, per se as maybe a Christian example.
Right.
Because when you're in different kind of mechanics, and we know that, I mean, you go work on a Ford to a Chevy they're all different. And then if you specialize in working on Fords all day, you know how to work on Fords. Yes, everything's nuts and bolts, but they're all different. You know, so now I kind of feel that I'm not that smart. So when we're working on like excavators and bulldozers and haul trucks, and I'm like, I don't know. Then we get a Ford and I'm like, oh, thank you for that. So I think it's just more just being that example and working hard, showing up every day, showing up on time, you know, just working hard and willing to learn. I think that's a good characteristic of being a leader.
Leaders
right?
never quit learning.
No, they never.
Yep.
So, and I always tell my kids too, I says, if you're not struggling, that means you're not learning. Right.
Yep.
And I struggle all the time at this stuff, but I learn a lot.
Yep. I don't like it to be easy.
Yep.
I like it to be tough, even though I'm, complain.
I know we complain.
About
that's why I tell them, like, please just let me complain, because that's what I need to do right now. But
right.
that's
I get bored if it was the same thing every day.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
But you go back to the leadership in the workforce, and my boss is a great leader, because if I can't figure it out, he's not sitting there going, "Man, you're an idiot. I can't believe it. You're dumb." He's like, "Would you look at this? Well, how about that?" Or he'll be like, "Oh, let's see if let's change this out real quick." Just certain things like that. That's what I like too. And that's how, we need to be to others.
Yep.
So
Yep. That's
gotta be very humble.
That's a really critical part about it too, is how we interact with others, how we
Yes.
interact with their mistakes, how we interact with their when they struggle, right? I mean, I tell people all the time, I do not fire people for making a mistake. I will fire you for hiding mistakes, right? For making a mistake and not fessing up to it or not trying to fix it. And maybe I'll even be a little softer on that depending on the situation. But I mean, it's still, I've tried to make sure that I foster that community in my team, that hey, if something's gone wrong, if something didn't go well, if something fell apart, I come to them and don't say, okay, like, oh my God, because I mean, we're doing so well right now that every single appointment we just put on the calendar, right? I mean, you can do the math on it, but every appointment we put on the calendar is worth $5,000 to our company right now. It doesn't matter if sales or not, right? Because the percentages, eventually something will sell, and the percentages work out. I had to show them the other day, every text message we sent is worth about $100 based on our sales. How many text messages they were sending, how many sales we're getting a month. Like, every text you send is worth $100 to us, right? So when I come down and you say, hey, you called this person, but you didn't send them a follow-up text afterwards too. You've got to do that, because that's every time you don't, that's minus $100 to the company. You just left $100 on the table. I was like, I want you to send so many texts. The next time I run my calculation, our texts are only worth $50 now. Because still, if your texts were worth $50 a text, how many texts are you going to send in a day?
A lot. That's a lot more fishing poles.
Yeah.
Right? That might be a new best boat.
Right. We are doing so well with our marketing, with our advertising, with how we communicate with our customers.
Yeah.
We are killing it. We're doing amazing. But at the same time, you still run into people because, just human nature. You get in your groove, whatever it is. But I'll be like, hey, yes, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. I don't scold you over it. I literally just work the math out with you. Be like, listen, I just want to show you. This is what you're leaving on the table. This is what you could have made. This is what the company should have made. Like, come on, get it together here. Let's work on this. What's the issue? What are you forgetting? What are you missing? Right? Edification. That's the word I always try to remind myself constantly, with my daughter, with work, with my wife, with anything I'm dealing with. Edification. That is what we are built for, not to break down and destroy.
Right.
We are here to build up.
Yeah.
And it is 5 times harder.
It is. Oh, yeah. I mean, and we need to show grace as well, right? I mean, it's almost the same thing. Yeah. I have an example. It's gonna be all. I don't want to get all over the place.
It's all right. We got time.
No, we got time, but it's just rabbit holes.
So I had a mechanic that worked with me, and we were coworkers, and that's putting it nicely. He just had a lot of struggles with life in general. Like, he was an okay mechanic, and I'd helped him fix cars before, helped him in his stall. But the rest of his life, I just clearly was not cool with this guy. We had a lot to work on it before we go hang out after work. Anyways, to say that, I heard him, he just had a kid and he was fighting with his wife at work. Is it not a hidden thing? And I was just like, man, step up to the plate. Try to understand where she's at and try to figure, and I really wanted to get involved. And so I go home and, nothing that day or anything. But then I went home and I prayed about it. God, what do you want me to say to this guy? He's clearly struggling. He's hating his life. He hates his wife, his job, and he's struggling with the baby. So what can I say? Because I feel like I could help him in this way. And I didn't get anything directly from God that I should say. But like a guy that sees a problem, I want to fix it. I grabbed my Bible, just started getting some verses out, made a little bit of not a speech. I didn't write anything down, but I had a good train of thought to go speak with this guy, and I did a little bit. I got him alone in a car. We were driving. I was like, just trying to be nice, and nothing ever really came out of it. His relationship with God is old, and not living and not new, and he didn't want to pursue that, and I just have to leave that where it was at. I couldn't push it any further. I just make him more mad at me, and I'm very close to blowing up on him anyways. But in the thing that came out of that was one of my apprentices was working with me, and he made a comment. I can't remember what it was. It was very inappropriate, and he got the entire spiel that I had prepared for the other guy. So my apprentice was the one who got all that information, and he seemed like he took it to heart. Like he maybe looked up to me or something, and he just was willing to talk about it. And actually, so it's kind of, some problems aren't meant for you to fix. And even if I do go try to fix them, I'll just put my foot in my mouth or just leave it where it's at. Just kind of.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah. you got to be wary of
I've been trying to learn how to control that.
the swine and dogs, right?
Yep.
You throwing your pearls before swine and dogs, not just because you're wasting them, because the next part of the verse, they'll hurt you, right? Because it's you do have to have that discernment of when it's time to move on. And that was another one of the verses from today too, right? If that city don't receive you, you just wipe that dust off your sandals and move on. And that's the same at work too. You don't have to maybe leave. You don't have to maybe make it so dramatic, but there may be people who, you don't want to. You don't need to kick against the goads, even as the Bible says, right? Someone who's not listening.
You don't have to hang out with them, but at least be the example around them.
Right. Yeah. You might not be able to talk to them anymore.
I was about to say, you may not talk to them anymore, but at least when they see you, they see
you take the high road.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And that can even have more impact than you know.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I think we'll all be shocked when we get up to heaven to see some of the people who maybe we had influence on that we thought we completely failed at. Right. I mean, I think I brought that up. I can't remember if it was during the podcast or if it was at men's Bible study. But again, the churches in Revelations, all 7 of them had no clue how they were doing spiritually. They were all wrong, right? So like us trying to use our barometer to be like, I did awesome talking to that guy, and I failed talking to that guy. Just give that up. You have no idea. You have no clue.
I had a coworker when I was at elementary school that I thought I failed with, and it wasn't until I went to his funeral that his wife walked up to me and was like, "Thank you." I said, "Thank you for what?" She said, "Thank you for loving him enough to share the gospel as many times as you did, because he finally got it before he passed."
Hey, if they keep listening and asking questions,
and
that's the Holy Spirit working. That's the Holy Spirit working.
And that was the thing, was I didn't know it until we went to the funeral, because they'd moved. Oh man, they'd moved to Oregon, right before COVID hit, and kind of all that stuff. So, or no, I guess it was right after COVID hit, and but yeah, so it was.
Yep, you never know what's going to work. You never know what's not.
No.
And I don't mean don't rejoice in it, but at the same time.
But you got to keep being that.
Yeah.
You got to keep being that example, because somebody's watching and it's gonna click.
Yep.
Oh, it's a lot of work.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of work.
I know. I get to cheat. I work from home, so
it's a lot of work, and I know that if you are in the Word daily and you are living by the Spirit, then it's not as hard as what we make it out to be.
Yeah.
that is very true. That is very.
I mean, you're energized by the Holy Spirit too,
right? Right.
Yeah. If I wasn't in the Word, I want to tell a story before the podcast is over about my manager and his issue, or not his issue, it was my issue with his drinking. At 5:01, he was always out back drinking, and it had started whenever his wife had passed away, but it was only on Fridays, and I didn't say anything about it. But then it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then it was every single day, and it went on for a good bit. And I talked to him about it a little bit, but he wasn't worried about it. And he offered me a couple of drinks at 5 o'clock. I was like, no, I'm not drinking. And after that, he never did. But after we had a lot of younger guys get hired at the shop, and they were staying out back drinking with them. And I knew that 2 of them were not old enough to be drinking. And so I didn't say anything in the moment, but at the next day I went in real early and talked to him, just me and him, because like I said, I was in the Word every day. I had the confidence. If I wasn't reading the Bible, if I didn't feel like I needed to say something, I probably wouldn't have. But there was Holy Spirit prompting me to say something. And at 2 different instances, I went into his office. I said, look, do you not feel responsible? And the first time I didn't bring the Bible in. I didn't bring anything like that. But the second time I asked him, and the first time he didn't have anything to say. He's like, no, I'm not the one making him drink, so I'm not responsible. So then I went and I found a little bit of a scripture, and I was going to talk to him, and he's a Southern Baptist, but he's not been baptized, and I think that was why he wanted to be a Southern Baptist, because they don't force you to be baptized, at least at his church. I was like, I don't know about all that, but I just said, look, this is not forcing you in that area, but man, whenever it comes to the drinking in front of the younger guys, they look up to you, and you're the leader of this shop. And he said, this is what it is. I'm not having any other issues with it. I'm not having any problems. Nobody's been hurt. Like, it's not about getting hurt now. You're going to quit whenever somebody does get hurt. Anyways, we had a good old discussion, very drawn out, very red-faced. And then we left things where they were. He wasn't going to change, and I wasn't going to keep pushing the subject. So that's where it was for about another year before I finally quit working at that place. But
yeah, that's a tough one. It is, and funny enough, one of my verses is right on that, though. Philippians 2:3-4. Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, right? But with humility of a mind regard one another as more important than yourself. Do not merely look out for your own personal interests, but the interests of others, right? Because he was doing none of that. He literally responded with empty conceit when you told him, "Well, I'm not making him drink. I'm not doing anything about it." That's exactly what he was responding with right there, right? That is the opposite of what a Christian is supposed to do, right? We are supposed to say, again, not be the stumbling block. We are supposed to, if we're around a person who I don't know, whatever example you want to say, around someone who, again, Christian wise, I'm not going crazy. We're not supposed to bow down to any rule someone sets up, but as you're saying, your walk, you do not stumble someone and be like, nope, this is fine for me to do because I'm a Christian and blah blah blah, so I'm gonna do it, right? I mean, that'd be like me walking into a place that says, no guns, and be like, nope, I'm gonna carry my gun inside here, even though you say you don't want them in here, because I believe God gave me the right to have one, right? If I come up to a place and I see it says no firearms, well, guess what? Going back to the truck, locking up the gun, and I'm going in. I don't wear it into a place that says no guns, right? Even though legally I can carry it darn near everywhere, except the law does say if it says no guns, that's their rule for that private business. It's no guns, right? So as a Christian, I'm not going to go in there and start flouting and saying that there's some divine right that I have to break some rule they set. That is not setting a good example as a Christian, right? In any way. Different from sitting outside an abortion clinic maybe and sharing the gospel, but also the Christians who do that, they don't stop people, right? They're not there barring people. They're not there hurting people or harassing people. They're there just trying to educate people. They're there just trying to talk to people, trying to help people, right? Again, that's the good example side of things. So it's that constantly thinking out for not our own interests, but the interests of others. I know, when do we get to do our things, though, then, right?
Never.
I'll do them in heaven.
Yeah.
It'll be way better up there anyway.
It won't matter then.
It'll be way better up there anyway.
And it's hard telling a drinker that they have a problem.
Yeah, I know.
Because I've gotten told many times that I had a problem. I'm like, no, I'm not hurting nobody.
Yep. I think that's
one I don't beat my wife, right? I don't hit my kids. But that was one of the selfish things I ever done.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it affected a lot more than just,
Right. And I do believe, too, that, God even says that there's divine consequences of things that can be completely unrelated. right? It doesn't just mean because you drink and then you got in a car crash, or because you drink and you got a DUI, or because you drink you hit somebody. I'm not saying it's a tit for tat or anything like that, but sin does have effect.
Mm-hmm.
There is no free sin, right? As our very first episode, I think, said, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no free sin. Even as a Christian, if you sin, there will be some consequences for it, right? It just it happens, right?
Yeah.
That's why the fights come from. That's where the injuries come from. That's where people fall out of churches from that stuff, right? And I'm not saying I got it figured out.
And I made it very clear to my manager that the issue I was having was he was drinking in front of those younger kids, saying it's good, it's okay, I do it, you can do it too. And I mean, his relationship with alcohol was getting deeper. Obviously, much if he started on just, and he said he did all that. He didn't do all that stuff. Go home, beat his wife or anything like that.
Right.
But it's not. It was the spiritual leadership. If you call yourself a Southern Baptist, I'm going to hold you accountable to that too.
Right.
Don't be leading these kids the wrong way.
Here's what got me was a lot of times, you hear, well, I'm not a bad person, whatever, like my sin doesn't affect anybody else, right? We've all heard that.
Mm-hmm.
We've probably have said that, right? What I do does not affect someone else. Matthew 18 is really what hit me one day, and it was talking about who's the greatest in heaven. And in verse 5, he says, whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. And for me, if I'm going to call myself a leader and the way I live my life is showing that it's okay to do this, and it causes a younger person in their faith to then sin, it causes a brother to stumble. That's as if I'm the one stumbling, you know what I mean? And that's what kind of flipped my mindset on a lot of things.
So that's very similar to mechanic starting out. He's frailing around trying to diagnose a car, doesn't have a clue. Same as a new Christian, come to Christ as a child, and you're kind of, sometimes I still feel I'm frailing around, telling my managers to quit doing this and telling this guy to be nice to his wife and stuff like that. But that's how you learn, and people will see that I struggle in that area, and they'll come talk to me about it or whatever.
But we also sound like we contradict ourselves too if we say, just saying an example, if we say our sin doesn't bother us, but we also say in this podcast, anything we say or do could be for somebody else.
Right.
So we sound like we contradict ourselves if we do that.
Well, we've got to be careful as leaders that what we do, what we say could affect somebody else. Right. And that's where, for me, that was one of the big things for me when it came to drinking, was that, I wasn't driving drunk. I wasn't doing all that out in public. But what if someone younger than me or someone new in their faith saw me doing that and then thought it's okay to just go get drunk? So now I've caused them to stumble.
Right. And you never, that's the hardest part too, is that, there's always somebody watching.
Always.
No, even when you're at home, I swear, there's always somebody watching.
Yep.
There's always somebody right there when you're prone to stumble for some reason, right? Drop that glass dish on the floor in the kitchen, shatters. Choice words are had.
Somebody was there, heard it.
Yep. Luckily, Harmony's been on me about that. Dad, those are bad words. Sorry, Harmony.
Got that Urkel going on. Did I do that?
Yeah.
Well, let me run down this list real quick. I know we said most of them, but this sounds a little smarter than us. But this is the Christian leadership in the workplace, a call to a servant leadership. Lead by example, demonstrating integrity, honesty, and humility in the actions and decisions. Prioritize servant leadership. Practice active listening and fostering a positive work environment. So I know we ran down a bunch of those anyways, but this goes on to say being a great Christian leader, the fundamentals of a Christian leader is generosity and having a heart for service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
those leaders who lead from the front, right? Those leaders who lead by doing and by example, who aren't just like, go do, I want you to do all these things. That's where you see a lot of success for sure. And the humility part, that's one that's, since I was not a Christian for so long, that is actually a difficult thing to do, in my opinion anyway. And I think what's helped me is I heard someone say that if you're trying to figure out how to be humble, all you have to do is picture yourself as if you were God looking at your life and what you've done and where you're at. That'll humble you real quick. And I've sat and done that just a couple times, and that'll knock you down a peg real quick. So he's like, so how would God actually, if he was here right now, how would he rate everything? I'd be like, okay, I'll shut up.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So but it's tricky to maintain that humbleness all the time, especially when things aren't going well.
Yeah. And like when you're this good, it's hard to be humble.
Yeah, right.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, when you know everything, it's really difficult.
It's really
to be
hard.
humble.
It's very hard to be humble.
words out of Ray's mouth. You heard that.
Yep. Oh man.
So I'm gonna go ahead and read this here. This is going to just combine the two the workplace and community, because I think this actually goes with both. This is Christian leadership styles, characteristics of both workplace and the community. The example of Jesus giving us is compassion, love, and servanthood. And then the scriptures for comparison, it gives us a lot of scriptures, but I narrowed it down just one each. But Matthew 14:14 says, "And Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion towards them, and he healed their sick." A lot of that underneath compassion was along the lines of just healing. And basically what it was getting to was compassion was we need to confront all in our leadership towards this. We just need to confront all these people out here with the compassion of Jesus as far as they're just among the sick. Mm-hmm. Basically bring them to Jesus. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As far as, not making them, but getting to repent, get them to Jesus, get them to church, get them in fellowship. Mm-hmm. So show them the love of Jesus, which brought them into Mark 12:31, and it says, "Love thy neighbor as ourselves." Mm-hmm. So, and then it went into the servanthood as Mark 10:45, "For even the Son of Man came not to the ministered unto," sorry, this is a light. So, "For even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and be given his life as a ransom for many." And then I guess I put another one down here. John 13:5. "After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash their disciples' feet, to wipe to wipe the feet with the towel wherewithin he was girded." So basically, it was just describing it. We need to bring these people in to Jesus and be a servant to all these people. Right. Like he was saying, if they need help, go help them. Be within fellowship, love them.
Compassion goes
everything.
A very long way.
Yep. Jesus gave us all the examples in the Bible to be a leader. Servanthood, love, compassion. Yep.
So if you were sharing in the workplace and somebody starts showing an interest, excuse me, they're showing an interest, and you can tell the Holy Spirit's working. That's the point. Whenever somebody still needs to invite them to sit down and talk and have an open-hearted conversation. That they still need that. That's what I think Jesus was. At that time he was showing them at the dinner, wiping their feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's the same thing. You gotta say, hey, let's go have dinner sometime, or come over to the house and let's talk, and some that still has to happen for individuals so that they can get to know Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, and when they do, you're supposed to roll out the red carpet. You're supposed to you make your best meal, and you do your best to show them. Again, that you hold nothing back. You do not short them on anything. Right. I'm not saying you again have to make a show of that, but that's the whole idea behind it too, right? That whole washing their feet. I mean, honestly, if you actually invited someone over to your house, just here, actually, let me wash your feet before you come in, probably freak them out nowadays.
Yeah.
People are saying used to that.
Oh, you're a germ freak.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
But the idea is the servantness to them. Hey, come on in.
Yes.
Let me get you a chair. Let me get you a drink. Let me get you this.
Right.
What can I help you? Again, waiting on them, literally waiting on them.
Yeah.
We talk about washing people's feet, and we got to understand that context in where that was at.
Mm-hmm.
For one, their feet were the dirtiest part of their body.
Right.
The dirtiest part of their body. And you weren't clean until every inch of you was clean, including your feet. And so what Jesus was symbolizing in that moment was that he, as the leader, was not too high that he could not get down to do the lowliest of jobs.
Right.
That was the job. To wash somebody's feet was the job that nobody wanted, because it was the lowliest of the lowest jobs.
That was the newest slave's job.
And so it was like nobody wanted to wash their feet.
Yep.
But Jesus said, if you want to be great, you must first be low.
Yep. You must
Right?
be willing.
You must be willing to get to the lowliest of parts. And that's what that was was talking about. You want to be the leader? Great. Then serve in the dirty spots.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a leader in your job? Go scrub the toilets after Joe comes out from eating 3 sloppy Joes.
You'll be the first one there and the last one to leave.
Right.
We come from a shop background. So my first experience of working at a shop is I was the lowest, right? I came from being a cop to the lowest position at the shop was changing oil. I mean, it is. It's entry level.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So at night, when all the techs left, I'd go mop their bays. I went from being in charge to the very bottom, and I wasn't asked to mop their bays. It wasn't a thing that we needed to go do, but it was one of those things where I'm not too good to do any job. I've always said that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too good to go take the trash out. I'm not too good to go mop or sweep or do anything.
Yep. Any Christian should be able to say that at
Right.
any moment.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to be the leader, be willing to get down and
That's
get
it.
low.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes
None
it's
of us
frustrating. Sometimes it's tiring.
It is.
Sometimes you're like, man, I do not want to sweep the shop right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
But it is interesting. That's something you will see amongst Christians. Like you won't see it in the lost. You'll see it's like the short stick. Like, oh nope, I'm good. I'll call this the easy thing, or I'm not going to do that. Not in on that, right? Whereas you do see many Christians, not all, but you do see many Christians where it's like, okay, we got the hard thing and the easy thing and the medium thing, and usually there's people right up like, well, hard thing,
Yep.
straightforward, hard
Yep.
thing, take that.
let's get it done.
Yep. Give me that.
Yeah, we'll knock it out. Yep.
They also was explaining in that as well. They said they didn't want to take away or add to, but they were also showing that the mere fact that as within a leader, you were bringing in people to show that you can bring them in to wash clean of their sins as well.
Yeah.
Bring them in to show that you can wash yourselves with Jesus.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And this is an interesting thing too. I'd actually heard one. I was studying that verse about washing the feet, and I'd heard one guy. I can't remember where this commentary came from, or I didn't hear it. I think I read it. Something about they were trying to make a point about how Jesus was also trying to show how that's supposed to happen the moment you enter the house. That's actually supposed to be like the first thing. So their feet were actually probably already washed, right? They didn't. There's nothing in there that says they weren't already washed.
Right.
This guy tried to make a sermon about how they'd forgotten to do it, or the homeowner hadn't arranged for a slave to do it, and so Jesus was also trying to show how Israel was derelict in its duties. I have no idea where that came from.
Yeah.
I don't think that's anything. I clearly think Jesus was saying, I know your feet are already washed. I'm going to do it again. Right? I'm going to do it again. Right? So that's the other part to it too. It's not that the other person, the original washing wasn't good enough or whatever. There was symbology there too. Right? There was also extra levels to it. But that gets down to the point too that even a Christian, we should never be, I did that 100 times, 101. Right? Gonna do it again.
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
Jesus said you thought you were clean. Watch this.
Yeah. Right? Right? And I still love how Peter was like, no, don't wash my feet, never. And he's like, no, you have to or you're not saved. Oh, wash my whole body then.
Wash my whole body. My hands and my heads as well.
And Jesus just said, oh, Peter.
Here's another characteristic of a leadership, and this is what I struggle with, and I struggle with it all the time. We talked about compassion, talked about love, talked about grace. Here is one of the ones that I struggle with is when I say I'm going to do something and do it.
Following through. Yeah.
Right? I struggle with that. I do. I mean, I'll admit it. Because I'm the person that wants to go help everybody. But what happens is I put way too much on my plate.
Yeah.
And now I can't help you.
Yep.
I'm going to have to push you off. And then I got to push that person off. And then I got to do this. And now it's, well, you said you were going to do this.
Right. And now everybody's mad.
Now
you're
everybody's
helping
mad.
20 people and they're all mad.
Right.
You're like, what is
so
going on?
I mean, and that's what I struggle with. And we're supposed to, right? And we talked about it just earlier tonight was, as Christian men or women, that we're supposed to help people. It's not about us. But where's that fine line?
But I think there is a fine line because, and here's where I get that. I'm trying to remember.
I mean, and it goes back to every little thing. I mean, just to church, right? Hey, I said I was going to mow this weekend. I'm like, oh, dang it. You know what I mean? Like, I did say that. And then I did say I was going to fix this. I did say I was going to do this for you. And and it just adds up so much, and that now you're just so stressed out that you're just knocking the tops off just to make people happy that you haven't completed the whole dang job.
So I think
what do you do?
For me,
better scheduling. I'm not good at it either.
I think, like, for good leadership, you have to know how many irons do you have in the fire, right? How much do you have on your plate? And I struggle with that.
Yeah.
I struggle with that so bad because I'm the same way. I want to be there for everybody and help everybody get everything done, that I neglect things at my own house. And what I think about is I think about Jesus and Lazarus, right? Because they come and tell Jesus that Lazarus is sick. And what does Jesus do?
Waits 3 more days.
Yeah.
He sits and waits for 3 more days. He doesn't get up to go right away to do the job. Right? He waits. And then he goes.
Right.
And I think for us, sometimes as leaders, we need to sit and wait. Instead of just automatically saying yes, because that's my Christian duty, and I put that in quotes, instead of us just going yes and go do it, I think sometimes we need to sit and wait, because maybe in that waiting, God is prompting us to tell somebody else, hey, I know you have this skill, this needs to be done.
Yeah, I wish there was somebody else.
There is. There is, if you ask and look. But like, that's what I think of is I think, okay, I don't have to go get that done right then, right? And as a leader, we have to understand I've got so much going on that maybe I need to delegate this out to someone else.
Yeah. And the more I think about it too as well, I mean, I think sometimes we have to say no.
Well, yeah, you got to remember Luke 10:7.
You have to.
And remain in the same house, eating, drinking what they provide. For labor deserves his wages, but do not go from house to house. Love the one you're with. Finish one. Move on to the next. Now, Jesus was calling out the 72. I'm taking a verse a little out of context.
Yeah.
But he did tell them, he said, you go to the one place, and if they accept you, you stay there. right? He was also, I think, setting an example of ministry, right? You're not supposed to go and be like, hey, what do you give me? And I'm going to go to your neighbor. Hey, what are you going to give me? And hey, go to the neighbor. Hey, what are you going to give me? I mean, he was also trying to show them sufficiency in God. He's telling them, you're going to find someone, and that person is going to take care of you the whole time you're doing your thing. And they all came back, and all of them were praising how awesome it went. I mean, right? He literally sent out 36 pairs of people with no money, no nothing. Go out, preach the gospel. You're going to heal and prevent demons. And he told them all, you don't need to bring anything with you because you're going to find a house. They're going to accept you. You're going to offer the peace. The peace is going to land on them. You're going to know it's the right house. And then don't leave. Stay there. So I only take that slightly out of context, though, because I think you should help people.
Right.
But I think it's better to be a little more honest. Be like, I want to help you, but I have to finish this other thing first. Okay? I got to finish this other thing first, and then I can help you after that. Let me get back to you.
Yep.
If you can wait for me, cool. I'd love to help. And I've gotten better at that because that was my main problem at the coffee farm was it got everywhere. And it was already starting to get a little bit that way here with what I'm doing because as soon as everybody realizes what you can do,
Right.
everybody needs your help.
Right.
Everybody.
Everybody needs your help.
Everybody.
Yes. And even the owner of the company, there's been numerous times they're like, well, yeah, but I'm helping so-and-so with this. He goes, what? Because I didn't even know you were doing that too. It was literally just before the 4th of July, the general manager, she's like, hey, we got to talk. I just realized, like, we got to set our voicemails. We got to change our hours for the 4th of July. Like, I was like, yeah, I do that every holiday. What? It's like, yeah, every holiday I record a new voicemail. I change all the hours. I make sure it all routes into these voicemails so people know when we're closed, when we're open, all this. She's like, I had no idea you were doing that. Yeah, I've been doing that for the last 4 years. Who do you think's been? She's like, I just realized I thought nobody's been doing it. I'm like, nope, I've been doing it for 4 years because I'm on the back end. It would take me too long to show somebody else how to do it, and they'd probably screw it up because it's not easy. It's actually kind of stupid difficult.
That's the other reason too. I think why some of us, I know for me and you too, Derek, is that we're afraid that if we let somebody else do something that someone's asked us to do, they won't do it right.
Well,
Or they won't do it the way we would do it, and therefore it's not correct.
Therefore it's not right.
Well, see, that's why I make fun of people like that all the time. Because, you know, this is the way we've always done it, and this way we're going to do it, right? Or my way is the only way. And sometimes you get caught in that trap as well, right?
Yeah.
I call it a trap because it is.
It is a trap.
Because once we lost, or, you know, we go from a job to a job or whatever, guess what? That job's still getting done by somebody else.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to happen.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean,
Not
you're
as
right.
good, but
Well, that's what we think. That's what we think.
That's what we think, but
I mean,
Well, that's part of the cost of helping others is it takes more of your time. You could just go over there and do the job or whatever the case may be. And just to make an easier example out of that is my wife can only do so many dishes. So I said, have the girls do the dishes. Well, they don't do as good and they don't do it the way I like. Okay, well, let's teach them.
Teach them.
I know
Yes.
it's going to take longer
Yes.
to teach them to do the dishes
Right.
once, twice, 3 times, however many times it takes before they get it. But by golly, then they can do their own due diligence with their own dishes, and then you can move on to something else, you know.
Yep.
It's 100% what it
Teaching.
means helping
It's
others.
teaching.
did Wyatt mow the yard correct the first time?
No, but
Couple mohawks in the yard and stuff.
yeah.
You know, and that's
Yeah.
where it's
Well,
like,
we get in that too. Like, I stress about the mowing the yard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't care,
right.
right? I said, I don't care if you go left, right, diagonal, circles. I don't care how you do it. As long as the grass is cut, that's all I care about. And you don't, like, hit stuff with the mower.
And it's even.
yeah.
Grass is cut evenly.
Yeah, but I'm not really like that OCD on the grass. I'm not. But, you know, but other things I am, you know.
Right.
It's
Right.
just,
Yep.
Well, I mean, I had a guy a long time ago ask me to come help him do head gaskets on his truck, and I did, and he was there, and I may or may not have taken about twice as long with help. Like, he's mechanically inclined, but he wasn't confident. So I was just going to go over there, give him the confidence, help him get this job done, knock it out. It's a 4-hour job tops. It was like 8 hours later. We're still working on it. It's like, okay, so I see that it's taken me longer to teach. But now he can go on. He can confidently do that head gasket job again, which hopefully never does. But still,
Right.
he can.
right.
You can.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, what is that knowledge worth?
Right.
A little bit extra of my time, my 4 hours.
Yep.
I'm not that important.
Yep.
And see, and that's where I like to help people a lot is that if I can teach you how to do it.
Right.
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 Now, if I got to go do something and I'm the only one doing it, then I don't like doing it.
Yep.
I mean, to be very honest with you, like I teach my family a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah.
I mean, like my son can back the boat up. He can operate a chainsaw. He can operate a nail gun. I mean, all these different things that I teach him, right? And I teach my wife. I teach everybody. You know, everyone in my family, all these things.
Right.
Because that's what gives me the joy. Is that okay? I'm going to teach you how to do this. Here's the proper way to do this.
Right.
You know, the safest way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But now when people ask for your help and you go and, you know, do things, right? You know, that what I like is, okay, you want to learn how to do this? Okay, I'll teach you how to do this, right? You're going to be one-on-one with me. I'll teach you. There I'm not like stressed out. Where now when they all pile and then nobody's around and you're going, this isn't good.
Yeah.
You know, it just stresses me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, we got to get to the point though too. Like y'all said,
We got to learn to say no.
we got to learn to say no on certain things. But then when we say we're gonna do things, we have to do them.
Yeah.
Like we have to. I mean, that's what I struggle with the most.
Yeah.
The times that I felt actually helping people was actually not actually working. It was just a phone call. They give me a phone call or a text that, hey, when you get a minute, call me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get texts like that too often. So when I from those specific people, and then whenever I call them, and they're struggling with something, you know, mental or emotional or whatever you want to call it, there, not a physical problem. It's a dealing with his wife problem, or dealing with the kids and his wife and their parenting techniques, or his wife got a job and he had to step up and do more things around the house, but there's only so many hours in the day. It's like, why, okay, you know, that's the best time that I felt as far as being able to answer people and feel like I give them good biblical advice, you know.
That's good leadership.
Counseling,
Yeah, right.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's just counseling, but
Proverbs 11:14, where there is no guidance, the people fall. But in abundance of counselors, there is victory.
Mm-hmm. And when I work on a Chevy, who do I text?
yeah.
You give
What is
good
this
counsel.
code? What's this code mean on a Chevy?
Don't get it.
Nope. Needs a transmission. Awesome. That was easy.
Watch your mouth.
But it is in that teaching. It is in that. I mean, that's exact. Train them up in the way they should go, right? And try to keep God in it as much as possible while you're doing it,
yeah.
right? And as you were even talking with your, you know, women are supposed to train the young women how to get up and how to go and how they're supposed to. And it's on both sides, men and women. That is a big thing that is lacking in our society, is that training. They're not passing on the knowledge the way they used
Because
to.
the other characteristic that we're missing right now in this whole thing of leadership is patience,
That for sure.
right?
That
Because
makes the best leaders.
right,
Microwave it though.
right.
Is that adults teaching the youngers, or is that
Everybody.
the kids?
In general,
Everybody.
I mean, that's even
patience,
this is
man.
in general. I mean, for me teaching you how to work on a certain thing, I got to
Right.
show patience
Yeah.
because you don't know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, I know how to do it.
Right.
And then sometimes we get into that trap where in my mind, I think you know how to do it already. And I don't know why you're messing up.
Mm-hmm.
But because you don't know how to do it. Right. And we have to show that patience.
Yeah, and taking that patience to teach people, right? That's actually, again, something I've had to do a lot more in these last couple weeks, knowing that this big project is coming up, because I'm like, there's no way I can maintain and do all the things I've been doing and do this. So a couple of the people who've been with me for a while, and they've shown good strength and they know what they're doing, and I'm like, all right, guess what? You're going to learn some new stuff. I'm going to show you some new things. It's time to level up a little bit and get in deeper, because I need to be able to focus on this and get this whole thing set up. And they both have risen to the occasion too, like literally excited to do it, actually, because
About time, boss. You give me something cool.
being able to like get them in and
Yeah.
show them how some of the back end stuff works and
Yeah.
some of the things that they got to do to just keep everything rolling the way that we need it to
That's
roll.
your military personnel.
Yeah, some of
Yep.
them, yeah.
Mhm.
It's like I find some great people out of there. Oh, that program has been so good to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one of the most patient men I met was a former football coach, which is so weird
That's weird.
that a football coach was so patient with us. But it was my junior high football coach, and he was the most patient man I knew. that you didn't get it right, so we're just going to work it again. But he did it in such a calming way.
Wasn't the whistle on the helmet? My head still rings with the whistle.
The whistle?
On the helmet.
whistle.
The boom. Get it right,
No,
Fisher.
so that was our head coach was the patient one, and then our offensive defensive line coach, he was not. And I remember him because I watched him do this to a kid. He grabbed a kid by the face mask and headbutted him.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't have a helmet on, but the kid did, and knocked the kid back. I was like, Coach Nubs is what we called him. But yeah, patience is a
Patient.
man.
Yeah. I think that's a great characteristic of a leader, of a Christian leader.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Jesus has done for us.
So
he shows
patient.
patience with me
So
all
patient.
the time.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's one I struggle with. That is
Yeah.
because my brain moves very fast.
Right.
And and even my boss, even the owner, like he had to remind me, because again, in the build up to this changeover, these people with this platform for weeks now, we've been being trained on it. This is how you do this. This is where it is. This is what you do. All these other things, and I was like the first couple meetings, I was constantly like just dominating them, because I was just like, okay, so what about this? How do you do that? Where's this? What? And after the second one, he was like, okay, you got to slow down. He's like, because you're confused. You're beyond past them already, because like I'm already reading other stuff and doing other training videos that like anyway. The point is like, he goes, I get it. He goes, I know the reason I hired you is because you know more than anybody else in the room. He goes, but let them talk, because I need to understand what the heck is going on.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll
sorry.
shut up.
That's what he said earlier, right? In the podcast, it's hard to be humble when you know everything.
All right.
I'm not even trying to be rude. I'm just trying to get through it. I'm just like, no, I get this. I got this. I got this all figured out. Let's move on.
You heard him. I'm not even trying now.
God bless me. God bless me. I have a memory that just sticks everything up in there for some reason.
Squirrel.
But yep. What?
I was given some of the best advice just yesterday, and I don't think it was geared towards leadership, but it goes that way. And it's that sometimes you have to listen.
Oh yeah, that's another. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Randy mentioned that in your thing, active listening.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk about, I mean, Ray, for example, being the smartest in the room and already knows it all, and sometimes even though you're at that point, you've got to come back down and listen. Right? Look at Jesus. Jesus knew it all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hello, Jesus.
He literally knew
Jesus
it all.
knew it all.
All of it.
Every single bit.
Only
But
one
yet
thing he didn't know.
still
He didn't know when he was coming back.
It's
the only one thing he didn't know.
Yeah. But yet he was still willing to sit and listen.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep.
And,
He was.
and that's the thing, and that goes hand in hand with being patient. Is if we sit and listen, then we can be patient.
Yep.
Oh, and he had to be so patient with those disciples too. They did
Oh.
not get it. Oh, they did not get it over and over and over again.
Yeah. And
Like-
we're just like it.
Oh yeah, we're no
Yeah,
different.
We're no
Yeah.
I
different.
don't
no
think we're going to be any different. Yeah.
Just ask any of our wives.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you go back to the old saying too. There's always somebody bigger, better, faster.
Yeah. Always.
Always.
Oh yeah.
Always.
I make it a big thing about personal goals. I'm making a big thing about I just want to do better than I did last time.
Right.
I would love to be the best that I can be. I'm not worried about trying to be the best of anything.
Yep.
I just want to be the best I can be. So that's what I try to focus on, right? And I hope I'm doing an okay job training Harmony up, right, and doing what I can to help her in the same way, because it's. I don't know. I think she enjoys it, but I can't stop teaching. Like, I mean, you know, she came with me to the vet. We had to take the dog to the vet today for a checkup. And, you know, I took her with me because I could have left her at home and she would have been fine. But I'm always like, come on, we're going, Harmony. You're coming with me. I take her with me everywhere I go.
Yep.
I make her she does all the errands with me, does all the stuff with me. And I'm constantly teaching her and talking about stuff and just filling her head with who knows what. And I hope it all sticks. Something's better stick up there. But it just, I don't know. It just seems like, I don't even always say the right thing to do. It's just, I can't stop doing it. I just cannot stop doing it. It's ingrained in me.
You have any more characteristics? I got one more. No? I think another characteristic of a leadership is trust.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be willing to
It's
give
a
it.
big one.
You got to be willing to give it,
Yeah.
even if they don't deserve it.
Right.
You gotta trust.
Because now, I mean, and if you go back, I mean, like most of us, we've had a leadership role, right? And we always say this, trust your team, trust the people that you have. And, and the little details things too. I saw a little Facebook thing. It was awesome. It was like kids. And it came back to, me trying to build Wyatt into a man right now, right? And all of these characteristics is what I have to show as being a leader. And it said that, for him, if I want to grab his attention, saying, hey, you want to drive the tractor? Yeah, I want to drive the tractor. But I can only allow you to do this if I trust you to take care of the smaller things in life, right? Did you clean your room when I told you to? Did you take out the trash? Did you do all these small things that I told you to do? Right? Because all of that leads up to that trust.
Right.
And if I can't trust you with the small things, how can I trust you with the big things?
I think that's biblical.
Right? It is. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah, show me where it's at. I mean, I'd love to see it. But and we always, even us as kids and even as us as adults sometimes at our jobs, the small little things that, tasks that the boss gives us, we don't want to do, right? Like, I don't want to do the small little thing. I don't want to do that little, no. But if he can't trust me to do those things, how is he going to trust me to be a leader? How is he going to trust me to be a boss?
Yep.
Because that goes hand in hand with integrity, right?
Yep.
So I think as a good leader, I mean, that's another characteristic that we got to show in the workforce is the trust.
Right.
Especially, people that are in leadership roles.
Right.
You trust your team, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I do. Now I do.
Right. But now do they trust you?
I believe so, yeah.
Right.
I was just say, because it has to go
the other
both
way.
ways.
Both ways.
Yep.
Has to go both ways.
And you have to trust your leaders.
Matthew
Right.
25, by the way.
And Matthew 25?
Yeah, parable of the talents.
Oh, yeah.
Where the man was going and he gave 5, 3, and 1.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Awesome.
Yep.
That parable reminds me of the parable of Matthew 20 with you had brought that
Yeah, where a
scripture
quote came
before.
from. Yeah.
I think it's a little further down. But anyways, it was the parable of the landowner going to town and getting some workers. They went early in the morning. They worked all day. He said, "I'll pay you one."
Yep.
forgot the word.
He just told him he'd pay him. He didn't actually tell him what he would pay him. I think he just told him he'd pay him.
Well, he made a deal
Or
with
the
first
ones, right? You're
The
right.
first
He'd
ones
pay him a
made deal
denarius.
with
That's
denarius, that's the word.
one day's wage. Yep.
And then the rest of them, he said, "Well, I'll pay you what's right."
Yep.
And at the end of the day, he was paying the landowner had to go back, and there was only like a few hours left to work, but he got a few more workers. At the end of the day, he was paying them out, and he paid them all a denarius.
Yep.
They all got, the ones that worked 1 hour, 2 hours, and all day long. They all got the same pay. And I had a problem with that parable because my work, you get paid for the amount of work you do, for how many hours you flag, and so that didn't set right with me. But I had to accept it, and I can't remember. Oh, so it's a bit selfish to have that attitude, and I had to check myself before I wrecked myself. So,
Oh, yeah, bring him
so
back
what
to
it-
the old.
what it ended up helping me to remember was your why. Why are you even here? Because once you've accepted Christ, to die is to be with Him. So let's get the ball rolling. Okay, there's some great things in this world that I don't, that I would like to enjoy, but in the end, once you die, you're with Christ. That's let's just stop this suffering here on earth and be with Him. And then again, that's a selfish attitude. So why are we here? It's remember your why is that all may come to repent and know God. And that is God's will, that all might come to know Christ and repent.
Right.
And that's why we're here. So every last thing, just keep that in mind. Remember your why. That's why we share the gospel. That's why we try to be good leaders, good examples, and all of it. That's the reason why.
Yep. Not leading to that envy, right? Looking around at others and be like, why do they
Right.
have more? Why do, especially the people who are not godly, right? Let alone looking at another Christian who might be doing better than you're doing. Or
Just take a trip
something.
down the lake.
Yeah.
You see those gigantic houses and those cool docks, and you're like, well, why can't I have that $1 million home?
Right? Right?
And $100,000 bass boats and $200,000 mini yachts.
Right? Right?
But hey, and that's why I said, even driving, hey, we got a smaller boat, right? It's not fancy. It's nice. So don't get me wrong. Like, I love it. And that's why I told Crystal today when we're on the lake. I says, it would have been cool to have the bigger boat, all these features and all this. And I said, oh, I'm very thankful for what I got. Right. I mean, I told her, I said, I'm very thankful. And I said, this is I said my boat, but I was like, it's our boat. We get to take this out. God has blessed us with this and we enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, where, you look at other people's stuff and you're like, well, look at that one.
Right.
Well, look at my little thing. And look at that. You're like, no, you just got to be very thankful.
Right. Right.
Because we are all blessed.
Yep.
Yep.
All different ways.
That's what
We're
I
all
was going to say. I've been very content at looking at, like you said, looking at everybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
After working on the Chevelle and thinking, man, I all my life wanting one, thinking I'm very content now after last year of trying to build one, thinking I don't want what everybody else has because one, it takes too long to build one.
Yeah.
Second, it takes too long to work hard enough to buy one. So again, very blessed to have what you have.
Yes, very blessed.
So wanting somebody else's stuff, it's too much work for one to have either way. So just enjoy what you have and be content. I mean,
right.
be happy with what it is. I mean, if you work hard for what you have, be happy with that. I mean, I'm not saying don't be happy and don't ever want and I'm saying if it's the smallest thing that you can afford, be happy with that. If it's the biggest thing you can afford and you can enjoy it, be happy with it. But don't idolize it.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the workforce as well. I'm sorry, Ray, I cut you off a little bit.
No, it's all good.
Where we might not have the highest position in the workforce, right?
Yep.
We might still be at the bottom, like I'm still at the bottom. But, very content, very happy, and I'll still show like leadership roles, right? And then still being a good steward, right? So, I mean, that's where we go back to looking at items or, things. I think it still has to come back to even at the workforce, where you look up to that guy and go, why can't I be the CEO? But this is where I'm at right now. This is where God needs me. This is where God wants me
Where
at.
did the CEO start?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. You're where you're supposed to be.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you do. We have to remind ourselves of that all the time, even no matter what situation and what level we're in. Right.
Yep.
Even in our lowest moments, to be content in those moments when things are not going the way that we want them to go. I can still find lots of joy and blessings to the Lord for the things that I do have, even though we're going through a lot of struggles right now. If the job I have, I didn't have the job I have, I have no idea how I'd be able to make it. I wouldn't be able to work a normal job right now, being able to take care of my wife the way that I need to at the moment. There's just, I just all I can do is praise God for bringing me through to this place, to meet the people that I needed to meet, to have this job that I have.
Yep.
Because he literally is supplying just enough. I'm 100% relying on his grace, because his provision.
Yeah.
Because we always seem to have just enough.
It's faith.
Right?
It's faith.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, and luckily, medical bills don't have to be paid off immediately. So but I got just enough to keep every time I need just a tiny bit more. I got a tiny bit more. Every time Wendy needs another new thing, we got to try another new test, or we got to go to another doctor's visit or another whatever. I mean, none of this stuff is cheap, and it just keeps piling up and piling up and piling up. But And she's always like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to spend our money. I'm like, I don't care. It's not ours. Scott's. He'll give us more. Just
Right.
go.
Right.
Just go.
We don't worship money.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep. And I know she feels bad though, but I mean, I try to do everything I can to help remind her of that. But you know, it's got to be so difficult from that side of the position of it, right? But I truly, I don't know, how do you convince somebody that it truly doesn't bother you, right? Because you know, I know she knows it, but at the same time, you still doubt creeps in, right? Satan loves to get in there and just pick at those edges, especially at anything where it's, you know, you think you're not living up to what your thoughts were going to be of your image, or what this was going to be, or what, you know, not even your hopes and dreams, but even just the bare minimum of what you thought it was going to be. You know, it's got to be. I don't know how she's got amazing faith. She really does. I'm not saying she doesn't have moments and days and times, but staying in the Word and seeing what it has been able to do for her has given me so much strength and courage. I know that if she can make it through what she's making it through, I can make it through anything.
Right.
Anything.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to see that from the leadership she shows, from that standpoint, right? And I'm not saying no one's perfect, right? No one has perfect times and days, but what she's been able to show, what she's been able to maintain and to model for Harmony, I can only praise God for that too, for giving me her as a wife to have these things, to show me these things, to teach me things.
Yep.
So.
Because all the treasures are in heaven, like you said, right?
That's right.
We all in this room already have the greatest gift, and it was actually free.
Right.
We didn't have to pay for it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a better way. It wasn't free.
Yeah,
He
definitely.
paid for it.
Right.
Jesus paid for it.
So that kind of keeps all that other stuff in perspective. And what I was thinking about that parable, it starts off with the kingdom of heaven is like the landowner.
Yes.
So it's saying whether you have been a sinner all your life and accept Christ and start, right at the end of your life, you're still going to get into heaven. And if you've been a saved Christian all throughout your whole entire life, you're also going to get into heaven. So I don't know, it's just kind of the different lives that people can live, and whatever situation that they are living in, don't look down on them. They might, don't look up to them as well either, because they could be having all this stuff but not have a relationship with Christ. They're not going to go to a very good place when they die. So my point about that is you don't know what kind of influence and help with the reasoning of why you're still doing this is just because you don't think that they're going to ever come to Christ. Still continue to be the way you are in front of them, because who knows? And it may not be for you to see it, but you will still plant seeds.
Yep.
It's up to them to listen to Holy Spirit and grow it.
You have any quotes over there? Quote man?
Well, yeah, I do.
All right.
Good. Let's wrap up with a few quotes here, Randy.
Yeah,
We got a few
right.
minutes left.
Fine. All right. True leadership must be for the benefit of the followers, not to enrich the leader. Jesus's leadership was to empower, not by a sense of the duty. Hang on, let me start that over. Jesus' leadership empowered not by a sense of duty or obligation or a desire to build an image, but by compassion. All right. And I'm going to save that one to the last one because I like it. All right. Just like Daniel.
What Daniel?
Not this Daniel. Just like Daniel, we show our faithfulness to God even if we are under the leadership of an unbeliever.
I hope I do that. I try.
Not that Daniel.
Not that Daniel.
I try to be like Daniel.
All right, I got two more. We'll call them quits on quotes. It says, a leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't want to go, but ought to be.
There you go. Yep.
All right, my last one here says, if serving is below you, leadership is beyond you.
Yes.
We just touched on that.
That one.
Yep. And that's unfortunately the opposite of what you see the world teach, right?
Yeah.
You know, they teach you get to leadership so you don't have to do things.
Right.
You get to the positions of power so that you can then make everybody else do all the things for you, and you don't need to do anything anymore.
Yep. Sacrifice everything to be a leader, right? That's what the world teaches.
Yep.
You know.
You just stand on top of the enemies of your fallen enemies and the people who couldn't make it. Right. Yep. It's actually a sociopathic society that is growing out there. It is definitely, especially because it's becoming more and more isolated and separated, and I think it's leading to what we're seeing is people they don't even see each other as humans anymore.
Right.
Like they don't even the sanctity of life is starting to get so small. One of the random podcasts I listen to when I'm mowing the lawn or doing something I can't really pay attention to, they actually have a running gag where they're trying to find like the person murdered over the lowest amount of money. Yeah. Basically, right? And there was like a guy was shot at a Chipotle over guacamole. I think that was like the lowest one they've seen so far. So
Wow.
forgot to put guacamole on his burrito, so he killed the dude.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, guacamole's up to like $3, but still.
Wow.
But that's
with inflation,
right? With inflation, but still, yeah, a life.
Yeah,
it was worth
a life.
To that guy, it was worth $3.
Yep.
In his life too, 2 lives technically.
Right. 2 lives are
worth
forever
$3.
Change.
Yep.
It is absolutely insane that that's where we've come to as a society.
Right.
Right. Even in Jesus' day, they didn't have it that bad. In that sense, I mean, there was bad stuff. Don't get me wrong. There was robbers and stuff like that. But I mean, it was like there was so much more respect for life, at least.
Yes.
For life, at least.
There's nothing new under the sun.
No, it's true. There is nothing.
I mean,
nothing's changed much.
You go back to the Egyptians, with Pharaoh, and then go back to when Jesus was born. What did what's his name?
Herod.
King Herod.
Yep.
Yep.
Killed all the babies.
Sanctity of life has
right. Oh, and look at John the Baptist.
John the Baptist,
right?
Yeah. I mean, so it's nothing new under the sun at all.
That's right.
I don't know why now it surprises us.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I make the joke all the time. We've read the end of the book. We know it's going to keep getting worse.
Yes.
It's not actually going to get better, unfortunately. It's kind of a weird thing. You almost want to root for it to keep getting worse because that means Jesus is getting closer and closer.
Exactly. That goes back to the selfish thing I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, right.
Let's just get it over with.
The more you see that world burning down around us, you're like, yep, he's got to be coming soon.
But what does Paul say? I want to be with God.
Yep.
Also, still got to be here.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Starting to understand that.
Still got a job to do. So let's do
you
it.
keep saying that. What does Paul say? And I keep wanting to tell you. He says a lot of things. Which one do you want us to tell you?
No.
A lot.
A lot. Just do that from now on. Just say a lot.
A lot.
A lot.
You know what Paul says? A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was an instant there for a while. Wintertime seems to be my downtime. I get into a funk, and I'd get home, and I'd just turn on the TV, get my cell phone out, go on Facebook, and I just, next thing you know, I didn't even talk. I mean, I said hi to the wife and kids. We ate dinner, that kind of stuff. But I still, most of my night was not even communicating with the family. And I was like, I realized whenever I went to lunch with the group of guys, and they all were on their phones, like, this isn't right. This is why nobody cares about anybody else, is because they're on their phones. They got their own. So my point about saying that is, I stop whenever I get home. If I need to work on the phone, I'll text the people. But we need to, no phones at the table. It's obviously just me and Melanie with the phones right now. But still, it's one way that we can improve the situation, at least in our own bubble, is to just talk to people, talk to the ones that are in front of you.
Yep.
Yeah, because we got in the habit too. Like after Autumn's kind of moved out a little bit, gone to college, where Wyatt's running him around doing this, and dinner time comes, and we used to sit down at the table and eat dinner together as a family. And then we kind of went away from that, where like, okay, we just have to hurry and eat, and we gotta go do the next
You're
thing.
not even all there all the time,
right?
Yep.
So I made a decision too. I told Crystal, I says, hey, we're going back to eating at the table for dinner.
Yep.
I'm sorry, because that's when we had our, good times, and we talked and we asked about the day, and
Yeah.
Wyatt, and every dinner he was laughing so hard. So I miss that, and so that's why we had to make those decisions as men, and hey, we're going back to this. We're going back to eating at the table.
Yep.
And
It's easy to get away from. It's easy.
It really is. It really is.
But that's part of the leadership.
It is part of the leadership.
Because
Consistency.
if you don't ever do that stuff, your kids will grow up and
Yep.
they'll live that kind of life opposed to the other.
Yep. I have to constantly remind myself to shut off the podcasts or shut off the other thing if Harmony's going to be around, because even if she's not actively doing what I'm doing, I found that she'll almost every 10 or 15 minutes be like, hey daddy, hey daddy, hey daddy. But if I have something in, she'll say nothing. I'll completely, she'll know I'm not listening. She'll know after the first time she said something, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I was listening to a podcast, or I'm listening to a Bible study or something like that. And she'll be like, oh, okay. Then she just won't ask any more questions. And so, and it's not, she's not like crushed by it, but I'm like, this is only this little time I got this. And so I'm constantly trying to remind myself to be like, I know I'm doing the dishes and she's over there watching TV, but if I just sit there and zone out on my podcast, there's absolutely zero interaction between us at all. If I can sit there and just put it down and just do the dishes, and then and yeah, like I said, Harmony loves to talk. So every 10 minutes there's a question. Hey daddy, what's
just
this?
like Wyatt.
Hey daddy, what's that? Yeah. And I don't want to.
You don't want to miss those, because I will tell you right now, with one in college and one in high school now, time flies.
Yeah.
Oh man,
yeah.
it flies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about that today. We're like, these next 4 years are gonna fly. As I told Crystal, I said, you need to enjoy every moment.
Yep. Yeah. I'm shocked that Harmony's 10 already. I'm like, man, when did you get 10?
Yep.
Well,
Y'all see it. You'll see.
hopefully you as our listeners are encouraged to step up and be leaders, and remember, you don't have to have a position of authority to lead. Lead. Just step up, lead, serve, and lead.
Yep.
So
Lead by serving. That's what Jesus said. You can lead by serving.
Yep.
Ray, will you close us out in a word of prayer?
Absolutely. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much. Thank you for giving us so many examples, so many people who can give us words and give us deeds that we can listen to and read, that we can use to help encourage others, to use mercy, to use compassion, to use love, to use trust, and to use your word to help others to show how to serve, how to get down on our knees and figuratively and literally wash the feet. May we find someone this week that we can serve in some way and glorify you in doing so. And may someone who's heard this, someone who's going to hear this, be able to find that courage to do the same themselves, Lord. We're just so grateful for everything you've done for us. We know that you are with us every day, and we just want to go out and be that light for you in this earth. We love you so much, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you for listening to Spiritual Debriefing, a podcast supported by First Baptist Church Hiwassee. Please like and subscribe to the podcast so you can be notified when we post new episodes, as well as check out our past episodes. We'll be posting new podcasts every other Thursday. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you have questions you'd like us to answer, comments, or feedback on the podcast, please contact us through our social media or email us at dmeadows@fbchiwassee.com. Thank you, and we hope God blesses your day.
Well, thanks, Carrie, for being on, bro.
Yeah.